Welcome to Community Roundtable. I'm your host, Henry Huang. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Marissa Wall, and the guest for today, Michael Jin. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Well, I have a subject I want to talk about today. I actually came across an article recently on Time magazine, and basically the article was saying that there's a Harvard hoop star. His name is Jeremy Lin. You know, by the last name we know he's an Asian. But the article was saying that, so my topic today is there's a stereotyping for Asian athletes in this country, because this guy, he's 6'3", well-built, athletics, the team leader, captain, leading scorer, assist, steal. He even led his high school team to state championship. However, he didn't get any recruiting from the Division I schools because, I guess that's why we're here to talk about. The saying out there is because it's Asian, and we typically don't have too many Asians excelled in sports. I guess that's a stereotyping that we have in this country, that we can get engineering scholarship, chemistry scholarship, basically academic scholarship. But I really hear or ever heard that any Asian actually got an athletic scholarship. What do you think about that? You ever heard any?
Well, yeah, it's very rare, but I think there's a lot of factors that fall into that. There is probably some stereotype involved in that, and a lot of prejudice and things like that. But it's changing. Just like when Jackie Robinson, became the first black player to play Major League Baseball. Things take time, and I do see it slowly changing. You're starting to see more Asian pro athletes playing in the NBA and in Major League Baseball and even in the NFL. So right. It's a slow process, but it is changing, and I think it really starts with the youth and getting the kids more involved in sports at a younger age so they can develop into pro level type athletes.
Right. But in this case, after I read this story, I said to myself, I got to do a show on this, because what if Jeremy is not Lin, it's Robinson, or it's Lee, that personify a different skin. You think he might be getting a scholarship? He was the leader or the key component that led his school to a state championship.
That's true. There's 50 states in the United States, and there's a lot of athletes out there that play well and lead their teams, and a lot of them do not get offers and do not get scholarships. So, again, I don't know for Jeremy. I'm sure he's a great athlete. But I don't know what his situation was, and a lot of great athletes do get overlooked. A lot of them don't get scholarships. A lot of them have to go to the junior college rank and work their way up to get noticed. If you look at pro athletes in the NFL draft, most of them come from big time college programs, but there are rare exceptions that come from smaller schools and even JCs that just get discovered later, and hopefully Jeremy is one of those candidates.
Yeah. Right. It says here he's a promising candidate to go to the next level. I just hope that the color of his skin or his ethnicity doesn't stop him from achieving the next level.
Yeah, because right now I believe he's a senior on the Harvard basketball team, and he's the MVP. He's averaging something like 24.3 points a game, but still, and only now is he starting to get more press, and articles are starting to be written about him. But do you think that scouts and NBA representatives are overlooking him because he's Asian solely, or what do you think?
There's a perception, there's a model athlete when you think about it, especially in basketball. Basketball, they like tall guys, they like strong guys, and the Asian perception is not necessarily that. Right. 6'3", I think he's, 180 pounds or something. It's not really big in NBA standards. And that's going to be held against him. Even that happens in football a lot. There's great quarterbacks playing even in Division I teams, but they're maybe 5'10", 5'11", and in the NFL, you need to be like 6 foot, 6'2" to be considered a quarterback. So, the size of the physical size of that can definitely limit you, and scouts don't look for that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But what do you think? The reason that he became a national name right now is because this article came out. But this article came out isn't because he led his Harvard school into contention for NCAA or even appear in NCAA tournament. It's because at this game where he was playing the Georgetown, and he was taunted as racial slurs, prejudice name calling against it. That's where this story came out. Do you think there's a little media bias there where if he was an Asian this story never came out? I mean, he's leading the Crimsons, which is the Harvard basketball, to the best records in 50 years.
Right. Well, I think he definitely wouldn't get this attention if he was not Asian, and the fans would not yell out, racial slurs if his skin color was not different. I mean, he gets noticed for that, and that, maybe not the reason he really wants to be noticed. He'd rather be noticed for his game skills.
Right.
But he is garnishing attention, and for every Jeremy Lin that's out there, there's probably a few hundred other kids that have skills as well, but just don't get the attention because they're playing at a small school, or the color of their skin is not right. I think that's just natural phenomenon.
You think this media attention will help him?
I think it definitely helps him.
I think so too.
Right.
It's exposure. Any exposure is good exposure.
Right. Exactly. And his name gets recognized, and he builds a following, and scouts know that name right away. Scouts go through hundreds of players, that they have to follow, and you've got to do something so that people will remember you or recognize you. And his skin is yellow, so that's a pretty good way to know who you recognize him.
I think also good marketing. I think some NBA team pick up some players because of a marketing ploy.
And it's definitely happened in the past. I think the Lakers are in that situation when a couple years ago they drafted the Chinese Magic Johnson, Sun Yi, and Sun Yi never got off the bench. I don't know if he just didn't get his opportunity or he just was not good enough to compete at that level, but he was the Olympic team point guard for China, and led the Olympic team. And he can't even get time playing here in the NBA. But again, I'm not sure why that happened.
I actually go on YouTube and saw some clips of how